Hi, welcome. Hope Zvara here, creator of Core Functional Fitness. And today I'm going to take you through 3 amazing spinal twists. When we think about twists, for many of us, we're twisting in all the wrong areas. And what I mean by that is we're basically allowing the tightness to come with us into the twist. So we're overly working the overstretched areas and completely avoiding the areas that really need the rotation. So in today's quick practice, I'm going to show you 3 different twists that you can incorporate whether into your practice or just hit or miss during the day whenever you feel the need to really help mobilize the spine and create as much movement but yet stability in the back region of the body and throughout the vertebrae as much as possible. So for today's practice, what you'll need is maybe a yoga mat, hopefully comfortable movable clothing, and possibly a block or 2, and maybe even a sandbag if you have one. Let's begin. So we're going to start out down on our back. And so when you start down on your back, I really want you to try to create as much length and broadness in your upper back as possible, so that when you lay back, you feel not only long top to bottom, but really broad shoulder blade to shoulder blade. Finding a comfortable neutral pelvis, you're going to notice that there's that natural curve in your lower back. We want to keep that. Front ribs exhaled and relaxed down as much as possible. Contracting the pelvic floor kindly, feeling some pretty nice core stability. Open the arms to T, palms face up. That way the shoulders are able to roll down and back as much as possible. Now, really important here, we're going to work with a movement I like to call tick-tock. So we're going to build a little bit of core strength, but also help work the spine. I want you to try to keep the rib cage and scapula shoulders on the mat as much as possible, so that when you're twisting, you're actually working with the muscles between the bottom of the ribs and the top of the sacrum. We have a few muscles there. One's called the quadriceps laborium, one on each side of the back. Our latissimus dorsi, we have our lumbar dorsal fascia down there. So we have a lot of really thick fibrous tissue down there that we want to be able to release and create some pliability. Not to mention our psoas comes from the inner hip and runs through to the lower back and rib. So bringing that upper back down, relax the shoulders. If you need to, use a head support, especially if the chin is elevated. Contracting the pelvic floor, bring the legs to table. Now you can place something between the knees or thighs, but if you do so, also place that between the ankles. Reiterating the rib cage relaxed and the pelvic core engaged. We're only going to go halfway each way or each direction. So inhale, tip yourself halfway to the right, keeping your left shoulder and left rib cage pressing down. Now engaging the pelvic core, bring it back to center. And then you're going to try the same thing on the opposite side. Inhaling, breathe into your lungs rather than your belly, exhaling back to center. If you're noticing a lot of lifting in the upper body, a lot of restriction in the tissues of the lower body and spine, back off. So don't make your rotation as large. Also, if your legs are splitting apart, keep working with me. You're gone too far. Okay, so keeping the legs together, keeping the feet flexed. Inhale, exhale. So feeling the true natural waist. So this is great oblique work. Bring you in and out of the rotation. Again, keeping the rib cage down is going to be definitely a good challenge. And you may notice a lot more stretch in the lower back and the side body. So inhaling and exhaling, breathe laterally, inhaling and exhaling. Let's do a couple more, no neck tension. Inhaling, exhaling. I work with this one a lot. Inhaling. So if you find that maybe you're getting close to the floor, as long as, again, you can keep the upper body down, keep the rib cage anchored, and keep the legs together, but most importantly, also make sure the core is active so the groin isn't straining itself. Exhaling, let's go 2 more each way. Think about it. Last one. And then slowly lower your feet down. Nice job. So notice which side was a little bit tighter, and we're just going to go back and maybe just revisit that side just for an additional 5 times, just so we can give that tighter side or weaker side just an extra little oomph. So bringing the body up, and I'm going to be going to my right 5 times. So inhaling, I'm not only thinking about the legs, but I'm thinking about that left rib trying to stay down. Nice. Inhaling, exhaling, Inhaling. Exhaling. I can really feel that stretch through my side body. Inhaling. Exhaling. Let's go 2 more. Last one. And then drawing the knees into the chest, really soften the folds of the hips, give yourself a good stretch, and then release the legs. Nice job. All right, so we're going to turn off to the side, bring yourself up to a kneeling position or tabletop. Hands and knees. We'll work now with a thoracic spine rotation or a T rotation. In a kneeling position, I'd like you to come down onto what would be your right forearm and turn your fingertips towards me, and then take your opposite hand and you're going to bring it behind the head. So nice big breath in. Open up your torso in trying to keep your hips square. So I can keep my head rotated down, and I'm going to try to open up my top, chest, and shoulder as much as I can without letting what would be your left hip swing towards you. So if the back body is tight, your pelvis is going to move. So I want you to try to push out of your bottom shoulder. Hand starts right behind the head, turning the top elbow open as you push down into the entire forearm. So really noticing again the point at the bottom of the ribs. Inhaling through the nose, keep your left hip back. Exhaling through the nose. Breathe wide into your ribs, especially into the tightness of your back. Now think about it. Slightly lift your rib cage and slightly lift your hip bones, and you should feel more openness in your back body. Let's go 3 more breaths. And exhale down, release, a lot of shoulder release going on there. And then exhale, roll yourself up. Now we're going to work from the opposite side. I'm not going to lie, these twists are really challenging for me, and so definitely good work for me and hopefully good work for you. Same thing again, we're going to start in tabletop. I'm going to lay down what will be your left forearm. Elbow sits under the shoulders. I'm going to keep my hips from swinging right to left. Lift up through the front hip bones, lift up through the front lower rib cage so I can keep some good core work, and that's also going to help encourage more space in the lower back. Hand starts behind the head, and now drawing the elbow back, I may not even rotate with my head. Keeping the pelvis square, draw the top elbow back, feel the shoulder come with. Breathe. Toes can be rolled under or unrolled. Keep breathing. And then slowly down. Again, devotional or child's pose. Just really bask in the effects of the twist. And then exhaling, rolling yourself back up. We'll work with that again one more time on your tighter side. I wish my tighter side wasn't my tighter side because it's challenging, but I'm going to go back for myself, twisting towards the left. So keeping the pelvis level and neutral, dropping down to what would be, if you're working your left side too, your right forearm. Hand behind the head, I'm starting kind of square with the floor. Keep your pelvis fixed, deep breath in, start rotating open. Press down into the forearm and work your rib cage open. Imagine bringing the rib that you're opening towards back. No jamming here. And exhale down. Nice job. That's a tough one. And then rolling yourself up, Awesome. So for our last one, we're going to be down on our back, and most everyone has done what most people call hip rolls, but hopefully you'll find some extra little nuggets of information as we work through that again. If you have a sandbag or maybe a bag of rice, feel free to grab that out, and possibly 1 or 2 blocks. So laying yourself back. Again, try to lengthen your back body as much as you possibly can. I'm going to move my blocks over to this side. And then again, neutral the pelvis. Exhale. I like to lift the upper back to relax the front ribs down, so I maximize my space as much as I can. Now, if you are very tight, especially in the upper back, I want to encourage you to get a head support, especially if you notice pinching in the upper back region. When we work the twist, support the head. For most of us, the kyphosis, even though it may be subtle, that head lift can make a big difference to allow your chest to relax open and a lot less neck strain and spinal pinching. So using your feet, let's lift the hips, and I want you to bring the hips about 2 to 3 inches off to the left. I'm going to do opposite of you. Opening the arms to T, preferably palms up, rolling the shoulders down, lift the legs to a tabletop. So you feel a little crooked right now. Deep breath in, flex your feet, and as you exhale, dropping the legs off to the right. If when you drop down, the top leg kind of pulls back, or you're noticing that the legs are free floating and then your opposite shoulder is free floating, I want you to use some blocks or some pillows. So if I come back for a second. So when you come over, if when dropping, that top leg doesn't seem to want to go with, set yourself up with some blocks so that you can keep the hips stacked. Having that force of a downward angle on the knees can really offset the sacrum. So we want to try to keep the sacrum stacked and then honor the stretch through the true muscles of the back and the true muscles of the hips. So pin your elbows now, re-lift your upper back, and see if you can lay your upper back even more flat to the floor, especially the opposing shoulder. So now moving the top knee just a little bit more into the twist, keep your opposite shoulder scapula anchored to the floor. So I'm just going to try to rotate even more. Arms open to the T. Now not just dropping your head to the left, but I want you to fully lift the head and fully rotate the head so the ear, cheek, and chin move as close to the floor as possible. Top knee is moving into the twist as the opposite rib and shoulder are moving down into the floor. So imagine trying to twist at the bottom of the rib cage. So if you find that there's a lot of tension in the top leg, you by all means could take that sandbag and lay that guy right over your top leg as well. So feel free to add that in. Rather than just letting yourself rest here, I want you just to gently, without aggression, gently move the knee as you constantly work the opposite rib and shoulder into the floor. You could also try cactus arms for a slightly different feeling. Visualize your sacrum being stacked, and I'm just slightly visualizing my top hip moving just a hair more forward. Both sides of the neck are long. Focus on breathing into your rib cage and breathing into your back body. Now to come out, gently rotate the head back to center and either release your blocks or come up with your blocks. Exhale, one or both legs at a time, back up to center. Again, you're going to feel crooked. Set the feet down, readjust your hips, readjust your upper body, and give yourself a moment. Many times we're trying to rush out of the movement right away because we don't like the feeling. Try to stay with the sensation, whatever it is, and allow it to pass. This is your body kind of releasing all of those tight tensions, and I want you to be a part of that. And grab my blocks. All right, so now we're going to go the other side. I'm going to swing my hips now. What would be off to your right. So again, I feel crooked. Broaden the upper back, relax the front ribs, legs come to table. Drop your legs to the left now. Now the second, this is my tighter side, to rotate. that top leg just doesn't want to go, or that big knee splice, please use a prop. I know for many of you were taught, myself included, press the legs to the floor. But if you're a woman, because we tend to have more mobile pelvis, or you have a lot of sacral and lower back issues, you're creating a lot of tension and a lot of havoc in that sacroiliac joint that you don't need. So making sure that we're trying to more so stack the hips and then press that top leg forward. You're still going to get the stretch just more appropriately in a good area. And then trying to notice if only one shoulder or shoulder blade has the floor. So by using my elbows in the back of my head, I can readjust that upper back just a little bit more. So the opposite rib and shoulder blade are trying to stay down. This is going to create a much more true stretch through the tight areas of the back, which is what we need. Arms open. As I try to bring my top leg slightly more forward towards the bottom knee, I'm going to keep that opposing shoulder and shoulder blade down the best that I can. Palms face up or cactus. Fully lift the head and fully rotate it. The head should not be at a downward angle. Now if you're going to hold the leg in place, I'm fine with that, but it's more so to hold the leg in place, not to press down to, again, the goal is not the floor. I can otherwise take a sandbag, sometimes just a bag of rice or even just a beam cushion can help you create that kind of heaviness so you're not feeling tension filled. If you are tighter in the back, I highly recommend just taking your time and working up to this twist. Inhaling through the nose and then exhaling, feeling the opposite rib and lung come down. So we feel a little bit less protrusion in the front rib cage and a lot more length through the lower back. Inhaling, top knee gently presses. Exhaling. See if you can direct your breath into the tightness. Rather than belly breathing, breathe into your kidneys, breathe into the fascia and the tissue of your ribs and lower back. And then after a few breaths, just reconfirm that rotation. See if you can rotate just a little bit more. You usually can. So imagine having your sacrum kind of up against a wall. I'm going to try to push my top leg a little bit more forward. There we go. Nice. And then removing any props if you were using them. And then slowly lifting up one leg and then the opposite, dropping the feet to help realign yourself. We are going to go back and do that tighter side, especially in a twist. Most of us really notice a significant difference. Broaden the upper back. Hopefully you're feeling yourself lay a little bit flatter. Move your hips off to the side. I'm going to be twisting to my left. Lift your legs to a tabletop, arms open to T to help the shoulders drop down. Move your legs now over to the opposite side. Again, you can see my top knee is falling back. I'm going to bring a block between my ankles or between my shins. Oh, and I can't quite grab it. There we go. Just readjust here. And a block between the knees and thighs. If you're using a support for the leg to stay down, feel free to grab that. Use what you have. Retwist and broaden the upper back down. And then fully lift the head and rotate it. Let's take a couple good breaths here. Really try to pay attention to the bottom of the ribs and the bottom of the shoulder blades. And again, notice if one shoulder or shoulder blade has more anchorage into the floor than the other. Really try to work on that anchoring of the upper body. Check in with your top leg, just gently press it forward. Again, the goal is not the floor. And then to come out, rotate the head gently. Release the sandbag. If you want to stay there, you're welcome to. And then slowly bring yourself back to center. Readjust your hips. Slide your arms overhead, palms up, and just give yourself a moment and let your back muscles kind of relish in the release that you just cultivated for them. Now I encourage you, you can stay in these rotations for as long as you'd like. We kind of worked at a modest level today. Draw the knees into the chest, give yourself a nice hug, soften the folds of the hips, feel your sacrum anchor and your sit bones kind of wiggle themselves free. And then move your feet off to one side, turn yourself. Top hand supports as you roll up. Every little bit counts, especially when it comes to the spine. So think about this idea of really moving more alignment-based in a healthy way rather than just forcing. Remember, in twist, the goal is not the floor. The goal is not to go to the nth degree, but rather to feel something and experience something in a healthy, balanced way. So when you're working with these twists, maybe you're going to work all three in, maybe you're just going to do one here or there. But no matter what you do, treat your body with respect, so it will treat you with respect. For more information, visit my website at hopecorefitness.com. I also have a great online education training for students and teachers at Core Functional Fitness Functional Foundation, a level 1. And it's all online based. I also do it live, so you're welcome to take advantage of that. And check out my blog and my other YouTube videos. Until I see you again, which I hope is soon, from my heart to yours, from my soul to yours, namaste.